Farigiraf is immune to booster energy. Okay. Oh yeah. What's up y'all? Talent here, and today I have a series of ranked battles featuring a high-level Tail Room team, so Tailwind and Trick Room. All the Pokemon on this team are used in pretty unconventional ways. For example, the Farigiraf carrying Safety Goggles, Psychic, Dazzle, Gleam, Trick Room. Overall pretty common, but the Imprison slot is usually what populates the Force slot. In this case we have Nasty Plot, which is very cool in that if you get Trick Room up and opponents try to double protect to stall you out, you can go for your own Nasty Plot and basically just threaten double damage next turn, so they really wasted their time on that double protect. You can also do the same with Tailwind. The Farigiraf has enough speed to be able to operate in Tailwind and Trick Room, so similarly if they double protect in Tailwind, whoops, now you have Nasty Plot and you're going pretty crazy in that respect. The Iron Hands is running Booster Energy, which gives you an attack boost whenever you enter the field, and Close Combat over Drain Punch, so really focusing on doing as much damage as you possibly can in the few turns of Trick Room or Tailwind that you have. Basulegion is very cool on this team. It has Adaptability and Assault Vest with all stab moves, so suddenly every move you're doing is doing 2 times damage instead of 1.5 for the normal stab boost. We have Terra Grass here just to be able to circumvent Amoonguss, which could be a problem, and yeah, just the damage from the high base power Wave Crash Last Respects is really crazy even without a boosting item, and this Pokemon's able to functionally work in Trick Room or Tailwind, and really, if you're able to get either speed control up late game after you've played aggressively, gotten your initial 2 Pokemon knocked out and Basulegion comes in, those Last Respects 150 base power with adaptability are just doing, you know, absurd damage and taking knockouts left and right. The last 3 Pokemon on the team benefit from Tailwind a bit more than Trick Room. The Landorus is Choice Scarf with a pretty standard set outside of a Tera Blast, Tera Flying, so you have the option to knock out any Amoonguss or Urshifu that think they're safe against you, which can be really nice. The Tornadus is very cool. It's a bulky, modest Skyplate set, so if your opponent tries to ignore it in favor of your more threatening other partners, you get Tailwind up, and the next turn you're threatening really powerful Bleak Wind Storms, especially if you go for a Tera Flying of your own. We also have Taunt just as a generally good utility move against Trick Room teams that don't have priority blocking, and Protect just for defensive purposes. The last Pokemon on the team is a bulky Urshifu Single Strike with Terra Poison just to be able to resist any fairy type moves that people want to send your way. It also has Black Glasses and Swords Dance, so playing a very similar role to King Gambit in Series B and Series C. Basically go for Swords Dance and then just threaten really powerful damage with Sucker Punch. But in this case you have a reasonable amount of speed, so mid-speed tier Pokemon you can just go straight for Wicked Blow and take those knockouts. I think this is really effective in Tailwind and Trick Room just because Sucker Punch is strong in Trick Room. You're able to take those knockouts anyways, and if you have Tailwind up, you don't even have to play the mind game of whether they protect or attack. You can just Wicked Blow and take knockouts that way. Because this team has so many off-meta options, it can be difficult to figure out what the best option is against opposing teams. Thankfully, the team creators created a document featuring a matchup spread, just which Pokemon you'll typically want to bring against most archetypes in the metagame. I have that document in the description below, along with the team creators, the rental code, and the Pokepaste with the EVs and Natures, in case you want to take the team for a spin on Battle Stadium. If you enjoy these videos, please subscribe to the channel, it helps out a ton. And yeah, let's get into the battles. Alright, so starting off in our first battle in the Master Ball tier, we have an interesting team with Tornadus, Chi-Yu, Amoonguss, Indeedee, Sneasler, and Basulegion. So Basulegion of their own, so interesting. They have a document, the team creators, featuring how you generally want to be approaching matchups, but I don't really know how to describe this one, so yeah, we're gonna have to freestyle this. I think Farigiraf could be very effective. The normal type's very good, but I guess Chi-Yu is definitely the concern. I don't mind. Like, I think Landorus is quite strong here. Like Landorus, Murkrow. The Choice Scarf is going to be nice. We can threaten out Chi-Yu and maybe go for a late game Farigiraf. I think does really well into most Pokemon on their team. Although maybe Urshifu is a bit stronger. I don't think so, just because we have to worry about the Sneasler, which we don't do much damage to, and basically have to be concerned about the Psychic Terrain stuffing our Sucker Punches. So I'm going to go with a kind of a hybrid mode, which is, I guess this team is kind of built to do, alternate between fast modes with Tailwind and Scarf Landorus into slower modes with the Farigiraf and Iron Hands. So that's what we're going to try in this first battle, and it's a pretty off-meta team that we're playing against, so the document's not doing us a lot of good, but I think it is, you know, I think we do have the tools to win this one for sure. But I'm curious what they lead. If they go right for Sneasler, I'm totally happy getting Intimidate off, and oftentimes that is what they'll do. But it is going to be, yeah, Sneasler and DD. I'm totally cool with that. They might have been threatening Imprison onto me, but yeah, I think we have a pretty safe Earthquake Bleakwind Storm here. And we do have a nice U-turn, but I don't want to take damage on my Lando. Or I don't want to take damage on my switch-in, rather. They might switch out into Tornadus, which is totally fine. I'll have to switch out if they do, but I think a Bleakwind Storm is totally fine for me here. They might expect me to go for Tailwind. I think if this isn't Ice Punch Sneasler, I'm fine, and most of them have been Fake Out, Protect, Dire Claw, Close Combat, but if they are Ice Punch, then they'll outspeed me, and I think I have a lot of bulk on the Lando, so I am suspect if it would knock out, because there's no booster there's no boosting item on the Sneasler, it can't be Life Orb. Yeah, it does go for Dire Claw, so very glad we didn't switch, but yeah, it's Poison, which is better than Para or Sleep for sure. We're going to get a strong Earthquake off, indeed not known for its physical defense, and the Sneasler isn't really as well. Oh my goodness, yeah. Poison type, just immediate knockout. I kind of forgot it was Poison type, so now we're getting a full power Sky Plate Bleakwind Storm, but it's going to miss, which is kind of annoying. And it is Psychic. Okay, so they double the Lando. Totally fine with that, but it would have been nice to get the Bleakwind off, because I think an Earthquake would have knocked it out next turn if they switch in Torn. Now I'm more enticed to have to switch, which is kind of an issue. Yeah. But that's really what the game you're playing when you have Bleakwind Storm. Yeah, okay, so there's that. I think I think it's probably my best play to probably get the Lando out of here, but I don't know. Who do they have in the back? It's most likely going to be, with that lead, Tornadus plus either Chi-Yu or the Basulegion. I don't think I have to set up Tailwind this turn. I think I'm fine going for another Earthquake and Bleakwind Storm. The combination will knock out the Indeedee. Yeah, they're going for Helping Hand Bleakwind, which might knock out my Torn. Probably not, we're pretty bulky, but yeah, so didn't bite into Tailwind there. And if we double hit this Bleakwind, we should be pretty solid. Okay, and we do, oh wow, yeah, 2-hit KOing their Torn. Oh, and lowering their speed. That could actually be very, very nice for us. Because now we know that we are going to outspeed their Torn anyways. Okay, bulky item. We'll see how much that heals. That is 75%. And they Bleakwind, and it doesn't knock out our Torn, thankfully. We'll see if they get the speed drop now. And they do not. The world is not just. Okay. Let's look at the speeds on our Pokemon here. 82, so we're going to hit 164 max if we get Tailwind up, which isn't that good. Chi-Yu in the back could be an issue for us because they're threatening lots of damage, but I think because we got that speed boost, it's probably fine. Or the speed drop. If they think they're Assault Vest, then they really shouldn't go for Heat Wave, or they shouldn't go for Overheat because it won't knock me out. It is Basulegion though. Okay. So that's kind of tricky. Last Respects is going to do a ton of damage. They haven't gone for Tera yet. I think I probably should try to knock out their Tornadus. And if they trade, I think I'm fine with that because they have to be going for Wave Crashes into my Farigiraf. So if I hit my Bleakwind Storms, I should come out of that endgame alright. But if they're like banded Last Respects, I think they'd have to be Life Orb and probably get a crit to knock out Iron Hands. And if they do that, I could have gone for, ooh, Terra Ghost on Torn could be interesting. But yeah, it is Terra Water, so maybe I should have gone for Terra Grass this turn. but I thought maybe Tera Flying damage could save me in the late game, so that's why I went for this Tailwind. No Protect from their Torn, so if we outspeed and we don't get knocked out, we will be getting a knockout here. Rain Dance, okay. Yeah, definitely should have gone Terra Grass, because Wave Crash is going to do a ton of damage. Might even knock us out. Okay, yeah, that's pretty bad. Yeah, definitely should have Terra Grass there. Definitely should have done that. But they are taking a ton of damage, and they've given us a 100% accurate hit here. So, this should be fine, I think, because we have Tailwind up, which means to outspeed our Torn, most likely they have to go for their own here. 134. Yeah, they might outspeed us, unfortunately. But I think we just go for a... Let's look at my Farigiraf speed. 83. They have a 100% accurate hit onto our Tornadus, so we might have to just hope that we take this knockout here. I'm not sure that we do. So I think we go for, oh boy, Joy-Con Drift. Yeah, I think we just hope we outspeed. If they're Swift Swim, I don't think we will, unfortunately. But yeah, I think we have to hope we outspeed their Basque and we get a knockout onto Torn. We'll hope we outspeed the Basque. It's always going to Wave Crash and knock itself pretty much out. Ooh, Protect. Okay, we're the faster Torn. I didn't Dazzling Gleam though. This could be bad. This could be very bad if this does knock out, and I honestly don't think it will. We need to do 50% more damage to Torn. Oh, we do. Is that a crit? Surely. Oh my goodness, that was crazy damage. So basically the damage augmentation off of a hit like that. So the difference between a Terra, basically an attack where you have not Terra'd versus you've Terra'd into your own type, is about 1/3 more damage, and I did a little more than 50 on that first hit, so I would expect to be doing around 60-ish, 67, right? If my math's correct. 63.33. So I must have low rolled the first one and then high rolled the second one, so that's very, very nice. Now I think I have Trick Room, Bleak Wind pretty safely. Let's just Psychic. Whoops. Forgot I had Tailwind up. So, oh, they cancel. Yeah, if they were fast on Basulegion, they could have won that, but they obviously didn't know how fast my Tornadus was, which is why they protected in that instance. But if they go for that attack, not knowing my... I think they just have to attack and hope that I'm slow, because if I'm not, then I always just go for Bleak Wind and probably get a knockout with Psychic or Trick Room that turn and win anyways, so yeah. We are able to win that after missing our one Bleak Wind, but we were able to double hit the next one, and I think that ultimately won it for us, but I played pretty hot and loose with the Terras that game. I definitely should have just Terra'd the Iron Hands to mitigate the risk of that. Totally forgot that Tornadus could go for something like a Rain Dance, so yeah, first win of the day, first one in Master Ball for this season, and pretty happy with how that game went. Alright, battle against Michael, who is running a hard Trick Room team, and that isn't a document. We have Sispan or Sun. Okay, that isn't really the hard Trick Room we're looking at. Oh, it is Sun. Okay. So, yeah, interesting team here. We could taunt, but we're more than likely going to get fake outed. I don't think it's smart to lead Torn into these guys, the Ursaluna and all them, or the Iron Hands. I don't want to lead Torn against Iron Hands. So I think I'm kind of happy setting up Nasty Plot with Farigiraf. It's going to be really strong, but I do want to also be threatening damage into the... Yeah, I want to threaten damage into... This is Terra Water, right? Is it? Yeah. Oh, Terra Grass. I could make that work. I think I'm going to bring my Trick Room Pokemon here. I think they're all kind of able to function decently well. and the Serena is kind of stopping my ability to go for sucker punches, so the meta is definitely teched out against priority, but as soon as we play against a team without priority blocking, that Urshifu is going to get that SD up and just sweep with sucker punch. I know it. But not this one. We have the Serena in this case. Alright, Oranguru and Fluttermane, so they led offensively against Trick Room, which makes sense. So, Farigiraf is immune to Booster Energy. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Okay. How did that transfer work? They got their booster energy, they boosted special attack, and then they passed the... Oh yeah, that could be bad. That could be very bad. What do I do about that? I think I Nasty Plot because... I think I Nasty Plot and probably hope I knock out with Terra Blast, but that's pretty unsafe. Yeah, I think I might just double... Yeah, I think I'm gonna double the Fluttermane. I just can't let them go for a Tera Flying or a Tera Fairy Instruct Dazzling Gleam. They'll take a knockout into anything. So if I can get a knockout on this Flutter, I have to this turn. But it might have been smarter to go for U-turn. But I don't think so. I think I should probably always just be attacking the Flutter, maybe going for Rock Slide, but if this knocks out, then we're in very nice shape. And they didn't Terra... Ooh, that's so big. Okay, so step one, we stopped cheese number one on this team, and we didn't go for Nasty Plot. I didn't quite know the role, but what I didn't want to happen was barely miss the KO. And just be in hot water because of that. Now we are in a bit of trouble in that... Iron Hands? Okay. That's fine. Torkoal would have been quite bad. But we can just reverse Trick Room and... Like, what are they going for here? I think I'm fine just bringing in my own Iron Hands because they have to maybe Ice Punch. They don't have a lot of damage into land. Oh, they have to Wild Charge now. Yeah, I forgot I Terra'd, but the Iron Hands is definitely the switch in on the Wild Charge, so... Most likely they Wild Charge Instruct, which I'm totally fine with. They can't go for Fake Out because of Armor Tail, and they could take a knockout into Farigiraf with a double Wild Charge here, but they'd be doing so much damage. It is Thunder Punch, so not going to be getting that added bonus of damage into them. But yeah, Torkoal being brought in there would have been really bad because I didn't go for Nasty Plot or just reversing their Trick Room. That was a really threatening lead from them. That just forced my hand on turn one. I think it's interesting. That kind of reminds me of like the first big lesson I learned in VGC was the best support for setup is offense. So for a Trick Room team, if you're able to lead something that is really threatening offensively, your opponent is or any setup really, your opponent's kind of put in a situation where it's okay. Like obviously the setup is on this side, but can I afford to stop the setup if the Pokemon next to it just does so much damage in the early game? So yeah, really cool option from them. But now we have Trick Room down. I think Nasty Plot Fake Out into Iron Hands is pretty good for me. They're going to switch out, which might be Serena, also might indicate that they're Inner Focus. Yeah, or they're not Inner Focus on Oranguru. Wait, they're Symbiosis, of course. Regardless, I'm totally fine with that because I'll be able to get my... I'll probably just go for Close Combat next turn. Yeah, we get Nasty Plot up. And they go for Taunt. Okay. So definitely play that turn exactly how we needed to. They haven't burned their Terra yet, but we're offering so much damage. I think honestly, a Dazzling Gleam is going to do a ton to Serena. A Close Combat probably gets pretty close to knocking out Oranguru on its own, so yeah. Because our Trick Room Pokemon are optimized for Tailwind, we're actually doing really well speed-wise against this Trick Room team, just because as soon as Trick Room goes down, not only do we have bulk, we also have the speed that they don't have, so that tends to be how matchups versus hard Trick Room go when you have like a softer Trick Room team. Okay, is that Choice Band Power Whip on Serena? That's really cool. regardless, I think now we just go Lando. Okay, and they cancel, so... Or they rather DC. I think Lando is going to clean that up with Tera Blast. We got a free Tera Blast into their Serena because we know their Choice Band, and then with Serena, they can't fake out us because of Armor Tail, and we just Psychic the Iron Hands. And if they Tera, okay, whatever. We bring in Basulegion with Adaptability Last Respects to close the game out. So unfortunately, we don't get to see that damage, but you can imagine that's how the game concludes. And yeah, another... I think that got dicey. Honestly, they might have brought in the wrong Pokemon. I think Torkoal and Struck could have been a better out for them because I didn't play as solid as I needed to. I definitely exposed myself a lot against that Flutter Mane turn 1, but they weren't able to punish it because of their back Pokemon not having quite the damage they needed. Okay, battle against Santi, who is a really strong player. I believe the Players' Cup champion, the first Players' Cup maybe, as well as the Players' Cup Invitational, beating Secret Boss Ray in a really cool feature there. So, they have Torn Urshifu, which is common enough. The issue is, like, this is in the spreadsheet. This is in the document. So what I'm told to go here is Basulegion, Iron Hands. Little bit of lag there. Basulegion, Iron Hands, Farigiraf, Iron Hands, Basulegion, and finally the Urshifu, which I think is strong here. This is also the same game plan against Chien-Pao Dragonite. The question, I think, do I want to try and match Tailwind? I don't think so. If they're Inner Focus Dragonite, Landorus is kind of a hindrance to me. So, yeah, just going with the document here. We're going to see how it plays out against a pretty strong player in Santi, if it is the Santi I'm thinking of. But yeah, let's see how this hard Trick Room route goes for us. Okay, and it's going to be Torn Flutter, so that could be bad. I wonder if a double knocks out my... We could play aggressively here. The question is, are they Covert Cloak? They might just see the Iron Hands and think, okay, free knockout. Don't think I can win if they knock out Flutter Mane turn 1 or Farigiraf turn 1. So I might have to bank on no Covert Cloak. That's kind of risky. I think I'll Detect because I think Dazzling Gleam is reasonably likely. I was also considering fake outing the Flutter Mane, which definitely would have been the bad play. It's going to be a Dazzle, so... Good call there from me. We'll see how much damage the Torn's able to do. Yeah, that might be Specs, might not, but it is Bleak Wind, and hits into Protect, and they do connect. We'll see that. Okay. Whew. Not quite a knockout. Very happy about that. And yeah, we get Trick Room up, so successful first turn for us, all things considered. So there was no booster energy activation on that Pokemon, so I think my best play is just 134 down to, it was 134 down to 68, so they did 66, so that feels like a roll. I think I'll just Psychic the Torn and Wild Charge the Flutter Mane. There's not a lot of risk to that play. I maybe could have Dazzling Gleamed, but yeah, so with Booster Energy, just a clean knockout, just Iron Hands off that high base attack stat, along with that 30% boost that people aren't used to taking. Very happy with that. So now Psychic comes out into their Tornadus, basically knocking it low enough that the rest of my Pokemon can clean it up, and they do double hit, and the Farigiraf did live, so we should have gone for Nasty Plot, knowing that. Okay, and they lower our speed, which is to our benefit in Trick Room. So could have gone for Nasty Plot there, but we see Psychic wouldn't have knocked out Tornadus anyways, so yeah, here comes Urshifu, Rapid Strike. So we don't know. I think our Basulegion is very, very strong against that. They can't go for Aqua Jet. They're most likely something like... This is a roll on the Torn, it was just barely under that, so I think Wild Charge is very safe into the Urshifu, unless, yeah, they are Detect, so maybe should have doubled into the Torn, but I just wanted to guarantee, even if they Terra, getting a ton of damage into that, and most likely a knockout, and yeah, low rolled this time around, but I'm honestly fine with that. Them getting my Basulegion in is totally fine. And we are taking a lot of damage, but Aqua Jet could be a problem for us. Because now we've lost our Farigiraf and they could knock us out with Aqua Jet, right? How fast is our Ursh? We could have some issues if we don't preserve our Terra correctly. I think they have to knock out with Aqua Jet, which, fine. So with that in mind, who do they have in back? 2 turns of Trick Room left. We don't have to Aqua Jet their Torn. We can go for Last Respects. Pretty easy knockout, obviously, into the Torn, and don't really have to worry about the Urshifu being Focus Sash. Like, if they are, fine, but they're most likely just Terra Water. And that should knock out with Aqua Jet, right? But one more turn of Trick Room, we might be fine, in spite of all that. But yeah, definitely misplayed the Farigiraf a little bit. Aqua Jet's going to come here, and we'll see if it knocks out. I kind of expect it to. Yeah. So maybe our play here is actually Terra Grass the Iron Hands. Again, I keep not doing that, but I think it might have been the call in this instance. Let me see the damage calc. They're taking knockouts, but at the same time, they're not really setting themselves up for the Basulegion. Like, Last Respects is about to do a ton of damage, so I'm going to get the damage calc ready. Okay, so against no bulk Urshifu, Last Respects now has a 31% chance to knock out. Basulegion, okay, that's interesting. That's very interesting. So I'm not sure of the speed tiers here, unfortunately, but Assault Vest might save our butts here, honestly. Oh, we have Wicked Blow. That's very nice, actually. So we can weaken their Regidrago significantly, and then maybe sweep from there. Terra Grass isn't valuable for us here at all. Terra Poison's way better. So I think Last Respects into Regidrago and Terra Poison, Swords Dance feels maybe... Wicked Blow's better, actually. Wicked Blow's better, I think, in this circumstance because I'm not sure. I think we probably have enough bulk to live a Terra Water Surging Strikes, but I'm not confident enough in that to risk it all. So I think we just take the guaranteed damage into their Urshifu, and Regidrago pretty much has to protect there, otherwise it just folds to Last Respect, so yeah. They do Detect though, double Detect, so they're taking the damage here. I just really didn't want to risk that, given all we know. And if Sucker Punch knocks, it should knock out, actually. Ooh, Sucker Punch is totally a knockout, which is cool because it forces them to do a couple things, right? I think we can Last Respects safely. I should calc this, actually, on the Urshifu. Okay, so if they're max attack on the Urshifu, they do have a chance to knock me out on my Urshifu, which we're gonna see here. That was 62 damage, so I would have lived, actually. Yeah, unless they high roll here. Yeah. So I wanted to lower their HP on their Regidrago Dragon Energy precisely so that my Basulegion could probably clean the game up. But we could have gone for Sucker Punch in their Urshifu, which probably is better, but I wasn't sure about, like, maybe a critical hit on my Basulegion wins it for them, but now we're in a situation where they have to knock out my Bask with a Surging Strikes, and I'll calc after the fact, but we have 204 defense EVs. I think this is going to be a win for us. Let's see. I don't think there's any point in calcing, it's just what move do we want to go for here. Last Respects is doing the most, right? So I think we just hope we live and go for it. Okay, that didn't look like it was doing enough, so this bulky Basulegion might have pulled through with the Assault Vest, just dealing enough damage to beat the Regidrago, and yeah, every hit's a crit, so we don't even have to worry about inconsistency on the crits. And yeah, we just get a 200 base power Last Respects off on the Urshifu to win the game. I think I probably played that last 2 turns suboptimally, where if they want to... Actually, no, I agree. I agree with my play, because if they Aqua Jet my Urshifu and Dragon Energy, they knock out if I Sucker Punch into the Urshifu and I get no damage from my Ursh. In which case, I think Dragon Energy does enough damage because it's full power single target to bring my Basulegion down into range for their Urshifu's Surging Strikes to knock me out. So I think that turn actually was played correctly and only lost to a Last Respects into, or a double protect on the Regidrago. So yeah, pretty happy with that. So I guess happy with how that endgame played out, but trying to think about the early game. We definitely exposed ourselves pretty bad turn 1 to like an Imprisoned Fluttermane, because if we detect our Iron Hands and they get Bleakwind Storm off, the next turn they're probably able to knock us out. But overall, I think able to play that game pretty well and finish out with a win, following the flowchart of the document this time. Alright, next battle is kind of, with the King Gambit, it looks a lot like a Series C team, or Series 2. But yeah, Chien-Pao, Amoonguss, Heatran, King Gambit, Fluttermane, Dragonite, so really closer to Series C with the Chien-Pao, but we do have the flowchart for this one. So against Dragonite, Chien-Pao, it is suggested we go Farigiraf, Hands, plus Basulegion and Urshifu. Yeah, and not much beside that. Landorus, quite bad against the King Gambit. Farigiraf, also not great. Will probably be forced to Terra there. Pardon me, just having some... had some noise in the background, but Farigiraf with Safety Goggles I think just does very well here. I like Iron Hands, threatens a lot of damage, and I don't want to be giving them any boosts on King Gambit. We might want to preserve the Iron Hands pretty hard because King Gambit's really, really an issue for this team, maybe. Like if Iron Hands goes down and King Gambit is still alive, then Urshifu is doing resisted damage with our Swords Dances. If they're low kick, they can knock us out. Basulegion damaged by Sucker Punch, obviously, as well as Kowtow Cleave. We have to go for Terra against that and do a ton of damage to ourselves with Wave Crash. And they go down to the wire, ultimately able to submit their team. But yeah, the King Gambit is definitely the thing that's scaring me the most about this team, offering super effective damage on potentially everything I brought except Iron Hands. So Iron Hands is definitely going to be something I have to play very precisely with this game. Alright, and it's going to be the Chien-Pao plus the Dragonite, which is totally fine by me. They can't really go for Extreme Speed, they could go for Outrage though. Tera Flying would be pretty bad as well. I kind of want to go for Tera Fairy. I don't know if they're multi-scale on the Dragonite. I think Outrage would probably knock me out. I think they're most likely to go for Outrage here, so what I want to do here is not risk my Iron Hands into a potential Ghost Tera or Inner Focus, so I'm going to detect Trick Room, Tera Fairy. This has a double effect in giving me the resistance to Terra to a Crunch or a Throat Chop, as well as being resistant to, or completely immune to an Outrage, which no Terra's coming out from them unless for some reason they're just very slow. So, kind of blow the Terra turn 1, but could serve to our benefit overall. Especially because we threaten big Dazzling Gleams next turn. Yeah, there's Detect. No Protects on their side. and it's Ice Spinner into the Iron Hands, so getting the most value out of our Detect, and Outrage, which hit into Farigiraf, so perfect turn 1, exactly what we expected, and yeah. So now they could hit Outrage into my Iron Hands, potentially. I think this is kind of a safe Nasty Plot, plus we could go for that. I don't think it's smart to. I think Dazzling Gleam Wild Charge is probably better into the Dragonite. They could go for Tera normal defensively, but if they do that, I think we're fine with it. Like, we won't get the knockout because Dazzling Gleam won't do as much damage, but on the other hand, we should be fine. I just need to do it. Yeah, I can't afford to predict. Wild Charge does a lot, but maybe that was multi-scale. We go for Dazzling Gleam, so kind of both Pokemon dead in the water here without a Tera, and actually doesn't even bring Chien-Pao to Focus Sash, but we are quite bulky, so understandable. We take a bit of recoil on Iron Hands, and now they go for Ice Spinner, targeting that down kind of aggressively, but still shouldn't be in the range of the King Gambit, so I think we're fine. Let's see who they bring in, though. They can't throw Sucker Punches out, which is nice. Okay, there is King Gambit, so they... Supreme Overlord, oh boy, okay. Let's think this through. So they could be Tera Dark. I don't know how likely that is. I think I go for Dazzling Gleam. Detect, honestly, just try and protect our Iron Hands. You could go for Wild Charge, making a read aggressively, but I think we have enough turns of Trick Room that it's probably better just to play it safe. Should we get the guaranteed damage with Wild Charge? Possibly. I think Close Combat just does so much damage, though. Like, even if they Tera with Booster Energy would do... Yeah, okay. So, Protect from King Gambit and probably Chien-Pao as well. We would have wasted a turn going for Protect there. I don't think it would have activated. It might have because of Farigiraf. I'm not sure how that mechanic works, actually, if your partner attacks, but you're the last Pokemon to Protect on a turn. But yeah, Dazzling Gleam and Protect. Most King Gambit, if they are Protect, are the Swords Dance set. They have an Amoonguss, so that's probably most likely from them. They could switch in their Amoonguss or their Fluttermane. I think Dazzle... CC is probably fine, but I'm not sure. I don't think I can afford going for Wild Charge and letting them get a... Because I've already wasted my Tera, I don't think I can afford to let them get the Swords Dance up if they go for that. We could see a switch into Fluttermane here, in which case I definitely should have Wild Charged, but based on what I have in the back, I think, yeah, I need to take as much damage as I can on this King Gambit. Potentially getting into Aqua Jet range would be really nice. Tera Flying, man. Okay. That is notably not weak to Suck. That is... Oh, they go for a double Protect on Chien-Pao, probably. But... Ooh, Tera Blast. Oh, Tera Blast, what? No Iron Head, then. So that's totally fine. They nearly take a knockout because of Supreme Overlord. We're going to do less than 50, which is fine, because we're going to outspeed that guy after Trick Room ends. Which means our Iron Hands is looking even better. We might even be able to switch it out. And the Chien-Pao, that's definitely in range of Sucker Punch from black classes, so we probably have the King Gambit slot locked down. That is Fluttermane, okay. So we're going to keep an eye out for Booster Energy. No booster, so it could be Choice Specs. Could be Choice Specs. I think our Basulegion could be what we need. Let's try and play this game out correctly, though. I think going for Trick Room might not be correct. Psychic should knock out that. Dazzling Gleam definitely should, actually, based on that damage. So I think we go for Dazzling Gleam on that slot. The only question is if we switch. I think we want to preserve all the HP we can on our Bask. Oh. Okay, so... Oh, Trick Room's still up. Whoops, yeah. I forgot Trick Room was still up. Then we always just Wild Charge Dazzling Gleam into the Flutter Mane, so... Definitely should have Wild Charged that Kingambit that one turn, but with... Yeah, and this is probably choice specs on the Flutter Mane just because they didn't protect, but... Yeah, we Dazzling Gleam. I was pretty sure that was going to knock the Kingambit out based on the damage roll, and now we're offering double priority into the Flutter Mane. No defensive Terras on the board, so... I'm pretty sure a Sucker Punch Aqua Jet should clean the game up, so... Definitely getting the full value of our Tera Tera Fairy this game, getting a ton of damage off with Tera Fairy Dazzling Gleam, and completely stuffing their turn 1 with the Outrage. So Trick Room ends, and now we just bring in our priority guys. Sucker Punch Aqua Jet should always clean this up. Really, is there any way to lose this if I go for that? I mean, not really. I think it's... I could go for that, or I could go for Last Respects, because they can't Dazzling Gleam knock out my Bask. Sucker Punch, that might leave me weak to a... like some fringe non-attacking move, but I think for the most part, we just always double attack with priority here. I think our position is just so sound that they don't really have an out, especially if they're choice specs. So, started to overthink it, but just went with the priority play. That's really what this endgame tries to drive to, is just take a bunch of damage early on against these Dragonite Qianpao teams, and then sweep potentially with Basulegion after the both front Pokemon have gone down, your Last Respects are hitting crazy hard, and bring in Urshifu to sweep with priority along with Aqua Jet. So, worked out in that situation. The Iron Hands and Farigiraf lead proving to be really effective against a lot of these Tailwind teams. So instead of banking on your kind of weaker against other Tailwind teams Tornadus with Taunt instead of Icy Wind, we have the Trick Room mode as a fallback against that matchup, which has been really effective so far. Okay, interesting team. Qianpao, Azumarill, Dragonite, Volcarona, Rillaboom, and Golden Go. So, Volcarona, Azumarill, the weirder Pokemon on this team. Let's think. So if they're Inner Focus, obviously Landorus isn't that effective, but beyond that, it seems pretty good against most of their team. We could get pretty much universal speed control with Tornadus, and I don't mind that. It's not that good, though. We could go for Trick Room. I don't think that's very effective. Farigiraf could be good in the back against Extreme Speed, though. Iron Hands Landorus would be very weak to Inner Focus Dragonite, so I don't think that's the correct path. Maybe we do try and get Trick Room up and just sweep with Iron Hands Bask. I think that might be a cool option. I really haven't been able to bring the Tornadus that often, but it's really only good against the Pokemon that it's super effective against this game, so I think I'm going to go with the Trick Room mode again, this time leading Landorus, I guess for the second time. We did it against that Trick Room team too, but I think this is quite a defensive team. I wouldn't be surprised if it's multi-scale Dragonite, and if it's not, then we're not worried about Extreme Speed, and we're threatening a pretty potent Dazzling Gleam turn 1. But pretty high ranking opponent. We'll see how we fare. Azumarill, Goldango, fair enough. We're definitely threatened heavily by fair number of things. I might hard switch here, I might not, but we lower the Azumarill's attack investment, so that's very nice. So probably a water move coming out into this one. I don't think the damage is that valuable, so I might just go straight into my Basulegion, although we're not really threatening a ton of damage with it. Yeah, that's not that valuable, honestly. I think I was really tempted to protect, though, this turn, so I think I will go for Trick Room. Yeah, they withdraw Azumarill. Hopefully we tag Rillaboom this turn. That'd be really nice. Rillaboom, nice. So we're getting a ton of damage off into that. And we'll see what the Golden Go goes for. Trick, Choice Specs, very cool. Or Choice Scarf, rather. So that's, like, annoying, I guess, but not that big of a deal. Given how much damage we get off this turn one, holy smokes. And we know that they're not Choice Specs. So that's pretty neat. Let me look at the speed on the Basulegion. I don't want to get undersped here. 108. Yeah, that's cutting it close. Yikes. Okay. That could be a problem. So we get the booster off here, and we're threatening lots of damage, but they're threatening a pretty easy switch on the Rillaboom, potentially, into Azumarill. I think I like Wild Charge into the Goldengo, though. Just because we're threatening so much damage here. I want a Close Combat, too, into the Azumarill slot. Just because... Oh, 2 Choice Scarves back-to-back. Interesting. The damage on the Goldengo could be nice. I'm tempted to Tera Grass here, but Tera Flying could be nice later on Lando. Tera Grass could be nice on this, too. I think Close Combat is probably safer into Rillaboom. Just because I can't afford to take a Wood Hammer, and we'll also go for right into Basulegion. So, we could get tagged with some hits here. Farigiraf, the first Pokemon to switch, so important to note that speed tier. The Rillaboom's probably not that fast if they switch. They do Fake Out on the switch, pretty smart play, and they Shadow Ball into the Iron Hands as well. So I thought about detecting that turn, but I really couldn't afford to take a Wood Hammer on switch, and we just heal a lot this turn, so... Or we heal with that anyway, so it's not that big of a deal. But them threatening Fake Out pressure is definitely a lot of... definitely cause for concern. We don't know their last Pokemon. It's probably Qianpao, so I don't think going for Tera is too good on my Bask. So I think I'm going to Close Combat the Rillaboom and probably Wave Crash. Maybe double the Rillaboom. Yeah, I might want the damage on Goldengo. Okay, we Close Combat, that should knock out Rillaboom. We are taking a lot of damage if they go for Shadow Ball into our Iron Hands, though, so that's probably what they're driving towards, given what they have. Like, the Iron Hands is definitely the threat against the Azumarill. Ooh, that does a lot of damage, though. And they Shadow Ball once again, which I think we should live. Yeah, just barely. We're now range in Aqua Jet, but we have Speedy Vs and Iron Hands, so I don't think we're safe against Azumarill. Volcarona's last. Okay, interesting. That's very interesting. Volcarona last. Okay. They might be Tera Grass here. Rage Powder. That'd be cool. Iron Hands isn't super high value. I think I like Wild Charge into the Goldengo and maybe... Well, I don't want to knock myself out, right? One more turn of Trick Room. There's really no detriment from just attacking the Goldengo with Wild Charge, and then I'm Phantom Forcing here into the Goldengo slot. They Rage Powder, okay. So this should maybe not knock out the Oh yeah, it does, okay. So they're Rocky Helmet. They're probably EV'd very defensively, but with the booster energy, I think it probably would have taken anyways, but with that, yeah, we'll never find out. And now we are going to get a Phantom Force off, which is locked into the Goldengo slot. We saw Last Respects almost took a knockout at 50 damage. So Phantom Force is what, 80? Maybe 90? So I think this definitely works in our favor. I'm going to go right into our Lando, take the Intimidate, and probably knock out Gholdengo next turn. And then I'll just switch into Farigiraf right after. I'm just going for Intimidate here. Most likely I'm preserving my Intimidate for my Lando and going for Terra Blast in this endgame. So no reason to risk it. Yeah, I think even if they Terra the Gholdengo, we should have a knockout. And with Double Choice Scarf, we can just not lock into spread move with that, like Dazzling Gleam, maybe Psychic, just knock out the Gholdengo. Yeah, I feel fine about this though. Unless they get a critical hit, you know, get us right back for ours. They are going to go for a Terra of their own. Right, gotta be the Gholdengo. Yep, and it is Terra Steel, so they're probably... Yeah, the grassy terrain was good for them because it might have knocked them out of range of a Phantom Force. Their Liquidation on my switch, fair enough. Doesn't do that much damage. They lower defense though, which probably doesn't matter, and Phantom Force does knock out Gholdengo, so very, very sweet in that case. It would have been borderline, but we are able to get at least the high roll, if it was a roll, and take that knockout. So with Basulegion, Lando and my Terra still intact against this Azu, I don't really see how they win this. So we're just going to go for Psychic, and if they ever knock out Farigiraf, we just go right for our own last respects. So yeah, we Phantom Force them to target the Farigiraf, but yeah, they're pretty high ranked, they see how this game is going, and we're able to take a win there. So yeah, really strong battle against a top-ranked opponent, and yeah, that should launch us pretty high in the rankings. The standouts of the team to me were definitely the Iron Hands with close combat and booster energy doing absurd damage. You offer Fake Out on that first turn next to Farigiraf as well, or you can just go for Detect if you think your opponent is going to try and knock that out as a priority. Basulegion also very, very impressive. The damage from Last Respects was very, very incredible. There was a 50 base power adaptability that went into the Gholdengo that did like 75% of its HP, which I was really underestimating the impact of adaptability. That did so much damage and was able to win us a match. I think this team is really exceptional in best of one closed team sheets. The anti-meta options, just the random setup moves anywhere, and the random bulk on Basulegion is just so valuable catching your opponents off guard. But I also think it performs pretty well in best of 3 open team sheet. It's just a fundamentally pretty sound team, I think, and if you're playing well, if you're using your Terras correctly, you're able to beat almost anything you go up against. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video. I encourage you to subscribe if you did. As always, the rental code for this team and the PokePaste are in the description if you want to test it out for yourself. This time we have a document by the team's creators that further outline how the team is meant to be played in certain matchups, which I strongly suggest. I was going along with it in the battles, as you might have noticed, and it really proved to be effective for us. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed, and peace.